Monty was a relief pitcher for the Hackensack Bulls, a minor league baseball team that was not very popular because they did not play very well. Their field was not a nice place to play, and it even had train tracks running through it. The games had to be paused every single time a train passed by, which happened often. One afternoon, Monty told his best friend Spike, who was also the team's catcher, that he had noticed a man in the audience who was taking pictures of him. The man's name was Donaldo, and he had done the same thing at the last 3 games. Monty was excited and thought this might mean he was going to be recruited to the big leagues soon. However, Spike thought Monty was hoping for too much and told him not to get his hopes up. That day, the Bulls managed to win the game in a surprising way, so the whole team went to a local bar to celebrate the miracle. At the bar, Monty and Spike found 2 women who said they had enjoyed the game. The guys started flirting with them, hoping to take them home later. Outside the bar, Donaldo was on the phone calling his boss to tell him about Monty's movements. It turned out he had been following Monty around for several days. Just then, the 2 women's boyfriends showed up and became very angry when they saw them with Monty and Spike. A big argument started, and some people in the crowd left because they could feel that things were going to get worse. One woman even called the police in advance because she was sure there would be a fight. Just as she thought, the boyfriends and the baseball players began to fight, throwing punches everywhere. Some people enjoyed watching the action and others even joined in. Fighters were thrown onto tables and chairs were used as weapons. The next morning, Monty and Spike were still in jail because of the fight. Their coach, a man named Charlie, came to see them. He told them the team's administration would not pay to get them out of jail. The 2 friends were worried about missing the last game of the season, but Charlie explained that the higher-ups did not care about them anymore. They planned to hire younger players to make the team new again. Charlie also pointed out that Monty had gotten to play baseball for 15 years, which was much longer than most people get to play, so he should be grateful for that. A few hours later, they were taken to a courtroom where a judge charged them with many things, including assault and destruction of property. The guys swore they were innocent and even argued with the judge, who became annoyed and set their bail at $3,000. Since they did not have any money, they were about to be sent back to their cell when Donaldo came into the courtroom and interrupted everything. He explained that he represented someone anonymous who would pay for their bail and all their fines, but only if they both pleaded guilty. Still believing that Donaldo was a baseball scout, Monty happily agreed to the deal. After they were released, Donaldo took the 2 guys to New York City. Spike became very nervous when they entered a big corporate building and thought Donaldo was an undercover police officer who had tricked them with the scout story. Donaldo pointed out that he had never actually said he was a scout. He explained that he worked for a law firm. The group went into a very fancy office, and Monty was taken to speak with the lawyers in private. They told him they represented his great-uncle, a man named Robert. Robert had a big argument with the family back in the 1930s and disappeared after that. Nobody had heard from him again. It turned out Robert had become one of the richest men in the country, and since he had died last month, Monty was now his only living family member. However, the will had some special conditions. The lawyers then played a recording that Robert had left for his heir. Monty was shocked to see that his uncle was a white man, but Robert had predicted this and explained that his own father had 2 wives, one white and one black. On the recording, Robert said he was very disappointed that Monty was a failure. He shared a story about how his own father had punished him as a child, so now he would punish Monty the same way by making him hate spending money. If Monty wanted to get his uncle's huge fortune, he had to complete a challenge. He had 30 days to spend $30 million, but there were many rules. After the 30 days were over, he must not own any assets except for the clothes he was wearing. He was not allowed to destroy anything he bought just to get rid of it. He could hire anybody he wanted, but he had to get real value for their services. Only 5% of the money could be given to charity, and only 5% could be gambled away. He could not give any of the money away to other people, which included buying them presents. Lastly, he could not tell anybody about the challenge because that would mean instant disqualification. If Monty thought he could not do it, he could take $1 million right then and leave. The lawyers already had the million ready in a suitcase and advised him not to accept the challenge because he did not know how to handle money. Monty asked what would happen to the fortune if he did not get it and learned it would be given to the law firm to manage. After hesitating, Monty finally decided to try to win the fortune. He had to return in exactly 30 days at midnight with nothing to his name except his clothes. An employee named Angela would keep track of all his spending to make sure he was not cheating or lying. On his way out, Monty only told Spike that he had inherited $30 million. He also hired Donaldo to be his personal photographer. They went to the bank so Monty could see that the money was real, and he immediately took out $3 million in cash. The bank manager offered him services to earn interest, but Monty asked for an account with no interest at all. This upset Angela, who did not know the truth about the challenge. Then Monty asked the security guard how much money he earned and offered him a much bigger salary to become his personal bodyguard. In fact, he ended up hiring the entire security team to follow him around since he would be carrying so much cash. Spike was upset that his friend was spending the money so carelessly, but Monty assured him he had a plan. Next, Monty called Coach Charlie and told him he was going to rent the team, promising to get new uniforms, a better bus and better salaries. Charlie did not believe him and hung up the phone. Then Monty stopped a random taxi and hired the driver to be his personal chauffeur for the month. Angela pointed out that he could hire a whole fleet of limousines for that amount of money, so Monty told the driver to go ahead and do that. A crowd was already gathering around Monty and his group, so he invited them all to lunch. They went to a very fancy restaurant and bought the most expensive wine. They also made the musicians play more upbeat songs instead of boring classical music. During the meal, Monty kept flirting with Angela, who revealed she had a fiancé named Warren. He was a lawyer involved in lots of charity work and social causes, so he did not often have time for Angela. When Monty asked to meet him and promised to pay for his time, Angela told him he could not buy everything. The news of an eccentric millionaire in the city spread very quickly. So when Monty went to a hotel, reporters were already waiting for him. He told them he planned to hire lots of people and announced that Spike was the vice president of his new corporation. Inside the hotel, the manager told him that the top 2 floors were already reserved, but he quickly changed his mind when Monty offered to pay 10 times the normal price. The group took over the fancy rooms and Monty and Spike rented some very nice suits. In the evening, Warren came to the hotel to pick up Angela. Monty used the chance to donate money to one of Warren's charities. Warren was very impressed by the art and furniture in the room and showed that he knew a lot about those things. Monty was impressed and wanted to hire Warren to be his decorator, offering him a very large salary. Warren immediately accepted the job, which disappointed Angela, who could not believe her fiancé could be bought so easily. The next morning, Warren asked his bosses at the law firm for 1 month off. The lawyers agreed, but only if Warren would become their spy so they could watch how Monty was handling the money. Warren was not allowed to tell Angela about this. Meanwhile, Monty had filled his office with hundreds of people hired to do all sorts of strange tasks, including hiring a man who could impersonate him. Warren had called his ex-wife, Marilyn, because she was a professional decorator who had taught him everything. This made Angela even more angry. Monty tried to get her attention by poking her in an inappropriate spot, and when Warren tried to warn her, he slipped and fell on some paint buckets. Marilyn had tons of ideas for the office, and Monty told her there was enough money to do them all. A man asked Monty for $3 million to get an iceberg from the North Pole to Africa to give people fresh water. Monty approved that idea too, even though Spike and Angela were worried it was a scam. Monty also hired a man to use the permitted 5% to bet on horses and sports. At that moment, Charlie called, and Monty announced that he would pay for his team to play against the famous New York Yankees. He even sent helicopters to pick up his teammates. Outside the stadium, Monty waited for his friends with a big welcome party, and he was happy to see them wearing the new uniforms he had bought. He had even rented expensive cars for everyone. The lawyers watched all of this and wondered if they had underestimated him. Afterward, Monty put on a uniform and trained with his team while the news announced the big upcoming game. That evening, Monty brought a woman back to the hotel, but when they were about to be intimate, they were interrupted by a call from Angela, who said they had to discuss something very important and urgent. Monty had no choice but to ask the woman to leave. Then, Spike and Angela came to the room with a financial advisor, hoping he would help Monty invest the money wisely. However, Monty hired the advisor on a salary instead of paying him commissions and planned to ignore all of his advice. Spike and Monty decided to relax by playing some baseball, and Spike used the chance to tell Monty he should invest in things like jewelry or stamps. This gave Monty an idea, so he rushed to a collector's shop and bought the most expensive stamp in history. The next morning, the lawyers saw this on the news and laughed because Monty had bought an asset, which was against the rules. However, they soon received a postcard from Monty and were furious to discover he had used the expensive stamp to mail it. They decided to tell Warren the truth about the challenge and asked him to create a mistake in Angela's accounting, promising him a big reward if the law firm won the money. Later, Monty watched the news and learned that his investment in the iceberg company had made the stock triple in value. Worried about now having more money, Monty told his employees to sell all the stock. To make things worse, the gambler he had hired had won all of his bets too. Monty panicked and told Angela to donate all the new money to charity. Marilyn finished the decoration and had added many things to the room, but Monty asked her to do even more. Since Warren was so busy helping her, Angela agreed to have lunch with Monty, saying she was impressed by a man who was happy to donate so much money. When they were about to leave the restaurant, a man accidentally hit their car from behind. The damage was very small, but Monty wanted to take the man to the hospital just so he could pay for a medical service. When the man realized who Monty was, he pretended he had been badly hurt in the accident. Monty even gave him money to pay alimony to his 2 ex-wives. Angela became very upset and started yelling at Monty on the street, criticizing his choices. Warren watched this from a window while Marilyn told him that Angela might not be a good partner after all since she was embarrassing herself in public. During dinner at a restaurant, Warren told Angela that she had been too friendly with Monty and wondered if her feelings for him had changed. This made Angela angry and she left the restaurant. On the news, a reporter talked about Monty buying 5 cases of very old wine and spending a lot of cash at an auction house. He had opened the bottles at a public reception so everyone could share the wine. Sometime later, Spike and the financial advisor announced that they had done some investments behind Monty's back and had made $10 million. Monty freaked out, and the others wondered what was wrong with him. They were interrupted by Warren, who asked for $20,000 for a deposit on some furniture they were renting. Monty gave him the money and sent everyone away so he could have some time alone. When Monty turned on the TV, he learned that the candidates for the next mayor's election had been spending huge amounts of money on their campaigns. Monty decided to also become a candidate so he could spend all his money on his own campaign. Angela thought he must feel guilty about having so much money and was finally using it to help society. During a press conference, Monty told reporters that people should not vote for any of the candidates, not even for himself. Later he appeared on TV saying that all the candidates were bad people and that only idiots would vote for them. He broadcast his ads in all the states in case any New Yorkers were on vacation. His honesty about political corruption made him incredibly popular with many people. Angela continued to keep track of the expenses and worried because the money was almost all gone. The other 2 candidates met in secret and agreed they had to do something about Monty, who kept insulting them on national TV. They sued him for emotional damage, and Monty was happy to pay a $4 million fine to them. Eventually, the day of the big baseball game arrived and Monty gave a pep talk assuring his team that they could defeat the Yankees. Before the match started, a train went through the field pulling more ads for Monty's campaign. Monty was the first pitcher and his teammate managed to catch the ball so they got the first Yankee out. When another batter stepped up, Spike kept taunting him and insulting his wife. The batter became very angry and almost started a fight so he was kicked out of the game. Meanwhile, Warren was at the furniture store and returned all the things he had rented, which got him back the deposit money. Although the Bulls started the game well and offered a fair challenge, the Yankees soon turned the game in their favor. After a big home run, Charlie had to change pitchers. He told Monty he had done well and reminded him that these were the Yankees, so the fact that the Bulls had scored a few points at all was something to be proud of. Monty was still sad, so he went to the changing room to be alone. He was then approached by the Will's executor, who informed him that if he won the election he would receive a salary, and that would be considered an asset, which was against the rules. The game ended with the Yankees winning, and Monty made a speech to congratulate them. He explained that anyone with money could buy an election, but becoming a professional athlete took real effort. Monty also withdrew from the election, pointing out that he had never expected to win and that everyone had missed the point. He did not have much money left, so he said he would use it all to throw a big party and that everyone was invited. That night, Angela closed the accounting books with a balance of $0. Monty came to pick her up for the party, but Angela wanted nothing to do with him. She was disgusted by the way he had wasted so much money on nothing that mattered. She rushed out and did not hear Monty say that he loved her. At the party, Spike and the security guard checked Donaldo's pockets and discovered he had been stealing money. All of Monty's employees felt bad that he was now broke and gathered some money to help him, but he turned it down and Donaldo gave back the cash he had taken. The next day, Monty woke up in his bed with a terrible hangover. The hotel manager came to remind him it was time to check out. Employees from many different services were already taking away all the things he had rented for the month, including his nice clothes. After putting on his old baseball uniform, Monty checked the room that Marilyn had finished decorating and approved of it just before everything was taken away. On his way out, the doorman told Monty that he had voted for nobody, just like Monty had asked. That night, the city was shocked to learn that nobody had won the election because everyone had followed Monty's advice. With only 5 minutes left before midnight, Monty went to the lawyer's office. In the elevator, he was approached by Warren, who gave him back the deposit money. After screaming in frustration, Monty told the lawyers that he gave up and was ready to sign the papers to end the challenge. Warren was watching everything through a window and was found by Angela, who wondered what was going on. Since he thought it was all over, Warren told her everything about the challenge and his part in it. A furious Angela took the deposit check from him and rushed into the office to reveal the trick. She wanted to slap Warren for his betrayal, but Monty stopped her and punched Warren instead. Warren announced he would sue Monty for assault, so Monty asked Angela to be his lawyer and hired her using the deposit money he had just gotten back. As the clock began to strike midnight, Angela quickly wrote a receipt for her legal service, effectively spending Monty's last dollar and leaving him with nothing right before the final second. The executor of the will announced that Monty had won the challenge and the entire fortune was now his. The man also said he would have to investigate the lawyers for fraud. Monty celebrated his victory and left with Angela, ready to start a new life together. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.